Newcastle United is making moves. So from a deal being signed and sealed, to Newcastle identifying their prime target, to the defensive reinforcements Newcastle are looking at.
Perfect!
What are the details behind Felix and Nmecha's potential move to Newcastle? Plus, after Newcastle chose not to sign Ramsdale,
I don't give a about your kids.
what's the latest regarding a goalkeeper signing? As per, join us as we'll break it all down and discuss the latest Newcastle United transfer news.
Let's go!
So starting off, Fabian Schär has officially signed and extended his Newcastle United career after signing a new one-year contract, ending weeks of uncertainty surrounding his future and ensuring one of the club's longest-serving players remains at St James's Park until at least the summer of 2027. Following a period that has seen several senior figures depart the club, Schär's renewal comes as a significant boost for Eddie Howe ahead of a crucial summer rebuild. Kieran Trippier, Emil Kraft and John Ruddy have all moved on since the season ended, but the experienced Swiss defender will continue his journey on Tyneside after agreeing fresh terms following positive post-season discussions. The 34-year-old, who joined Newcastle in 2018, was due to become a free agent this summer. However, after negotiations that reportedly included a reduced salary package, all parties reached an agreement that allows Schär to remain part of the squad for another season. Speaking after putting pen to paper, Schär made it clear just how much Newcastle means to him. The defender described both the club and the city as his home, and expressed his desire to continue contributing despite already spending 8 years on Tyneside. Schär admitted he still feels there is more to achieve at Newcastle, and revealed that his immediate focus is recovering fully from the injury that prematurely ended his 2025-26 campaign. While disappointed by the way last season concluded personally, he stressed his determination to return stronger and help the team achieve its objectives next year. Eddie Howe welcomed the news, praising Schär's influence both on and off the pitch. The Newcastle boss highlighted the defender's leadership qualities, experience and technical ability, all of which he believes remain vital assets within the squad. Howe pointed to Schär's excellent form before injury struck, noting that Newcastle missed his composure, defensive intelligence and ability to progress the ball from deep during the latter stages of the campaign. With Kieran Trippier now gone, Schär's experience within the dressing room could become even more important over the coming months. Sporting director Ross Wilson also expressed his delight after the agreement was finalized. Wilson revealed that discussions had been complex at times but emphasized that everyone involved was eager to reach a resolution quickly once the season had ended. Wilson praised Schär's contribution throughout his 8 years at the club and insisted the veteran still has an important role to play, both as a player and as one of the senior figures within the squad. He also welcomed the clarity the deal brings early in the transfer window, allowing Newcastle to focus on other areas of recruitment. Although Schär may find himself playing a slightly reduced role next season, particularly following the arrival of defensive reinforcements such as Malik Chow, his importance should not be underestimated. Newcastle have often relied on his ability to step out from defense, pick passes through opposition lines and provide calmness in high-pressure moments. His injury in the dramatic 4-3 victory over Leeds earlier this year was a major blow, and Newcastle undoubtedly felt his absence during the run-in. The good news for supporters is that Schär is expected to be fit for pre-season and should be available when preparations begin for the 2026-27 campaign. For Newcastle, keeping Schär is not simply about sentiment. While the squad continues to get younger, retaining experienced leaders who understand the club, the expectations and the culture remains crucial. In Schär, Newcastle keep a player who has been through the highs and lows of the modern era and who still has plenty to offer as the club looks to bounce back next season. However, although Newcastle United may have secured Fabian Schär's future for another season, but that has not stopped the club from continuing its search for defensive reinforcements ahead of a crucial summer transfer window. The Magpies remain short of options across the back line, particularly at full-back following the departures of Kieran Trippier and Emil Kraft. However, there is also a growing recognition that additional depth is needed at centre-back despite Schär's new deal. According to The Athletic, Newcastle's long-standing interest in Atalanta defender Giorgio Scalvini remains alive, while Como centre-back Jacobo Ramon has also emerged as a potential target. Scalvini is a familiar name to Newcastle supporters after being heavily linked with a move to St James's Park last summer. The 22-year-old Italy international has established himself as one of Serie A's most highly rated young defenders and made 24 league appearances for Atalanta last season. His performances have already earned him 8 senior caps for Italy, and he previously admitted he was flattered by reports linking him with Newcastle. Meanwhile, Jacobo Ramon represents a newer option on the club's radar. The 21-year-old Spaniard came through Real Madrid's academy before playing a key role in Como's impressive campaign, which saw the Italian side secure a remarkable fourth-place finish in Serie A. His development has not gone unnoticed, and Newcastle are reportedly among several clubs monitoring his progress. Neither player is likely to come cheaply. Scalvini was valued at around £50 million during previous transfer windows, and while his market value may fluctuate, Atalanta are under little pressure to sell one of their most prized assets. Ramon could potentially be the more affordable option, but even he would likely command a significant fee given his age, potential, and impressive season in Italy. Although valuation estimates should always be treated with caution, current market assessments place Scalvini at around €38 million and Ramon at approximately €30 million, suggesting Newcastle would still need to make a substantial investment to secure either defender. The timing of any move could also prove important. Newcastle's recruitment priorities are currently focused elsewhere, with a goalkeeper, full-back, winger, and midfielder all believed to rank higher on the club's summer shopping list. As a result, centre-back additions may have to wait until later in the window, once those more urgent areas have been addressed. That reality could ultimately shape Newcastle's options. If significant funds are committed to strengthening other positions first, expensive targets such as Scalvini and Ramon may become increasingly difficult to pursue. Even so, both players fit the profile Newcastle have been targeting under Ross Wilson and Eddie Howe. They are young, talented, capable of developing further, and possess the quality to contribute immediately at Premier League level. For now, the links remain at an exploratory stage, but with Shah entering the final year of his new contract, and Newcastle looking to build a younger defensive core for the future, it is easy to understand why both Scalvini and Ramon continue to attract serious interest from the club's recruitment team. Then, in another development, Newcastle United are reportedly exploring a move for highly rated Racing Santander left-back Jorge Salinas, as they look to strengthen a position that is becoming increasingly thin ahead of the 2026-27 season. With Matt Targett set to leave when his contract expires this month, Lewis Hall is currently the only natural senior left-back in Eddie Howe's squad. While Dan Burn and Alex Murphy have both filled in on the left side of defense when required, neither is viewed as a long-term specialist solution in the role. That leaves Newcastle facing an important decision this summer. The club could choose to place greater trust in Murphy after his development over the last year, but the expectation remains that another left-back will be recruited to provide competition and cover for Hall. According to reports from Spanish outlet Mundo Deportivo, one player now attracting Newcastle's attention is Racing Santander youngster Jorge Salinas. The 19-year-old enjoyed an impressive breakthrough campaign, playing 34 times as Racing Santander secured promotion to La Liga. His performances have reportedly caught the attention of several clubs across Europe, with Newcastle among those monitoring his progress. Salinas is understood to have a release clause worth around £13.8 million, a figure that could make him an attractive option in a market where prices for promising young defenders continue to rise. While that fee would not represent a major financial gamble for Newcastle, there would still be an element of risk involved. Salinas has only played in Spain's second tier so far, and the jump from that level to Premier League football is significant. However, Newcastle's recruitment strategy under Ross Wilson has increasingly focused on identifying young players with high ceilings before their value explodes. Salinas appears to fit that profile perfectly. Young, talented, affordable, and with plenty of room for development. The fact that other clubs are believed to be tracking him also suggests Newcastle's scouting department are not alone in recognizing his potential. Whether the Magpies turn their interest into a formal approach remains to be seen, but the link certainly makes sense given the current squad situation and the club's long-term recruitment model. For now, this feels like a transfer rumor worth keeping an eye on rather than one nearing completion. The reports remain largely Spain-based at this stage, and there has been little indication from Newcastle sources that a move is imminent. Still, Salinas ticks plenty of boxes. At 19 years old, With top-flight football on the horizon and a relatively affordable release clause, he looks exactly the sort of emerging talent Newcastle have been targeting in recent transfer windows. However, Newcastle United have reportedly identified Atalanta fullback Marco Palestra as one of their leading targets, as Ross Wilson begins the task of rebuilding the club's defensive options this summer. While Tyno remains the club's first-choice option in the position, the lack of depth behind him means reinforcing the role has become one of the club's most urgent priorities. There is also continued uncertainty surrounding Livramento's own future. Both Arsenal and Manchester City have been repeatedly linked with the England international in recent months, meaning Newcastle may need to prepare for multiple scenarios before the transfer window closes. According to reports from the Mail, Atalanta defender Marco Palestra has emerged as a player Newcastle admire. The 21-year-old enjoyed an impressive loan spell at Cagliari last season, where he gained valuable Serie A experience and established himself as one of Italy's most promising young fullbacks. His performances have not gone unnoticed, with several top clubs reportedly monitoring his development closely. The report claims that Manchester City, Arsenal, and Inter Milan have all made inquiries about Palestra, highlighting just how highly regarded he has become. That level of competition could create a significant challenge for Newcastle if they decide to push forward with their interest. Palestra himself recently hinted that he is ready to take the next step in his career. Speaking while away with Italy's national team setup, the defender expressed his desire to continue progressing after what was his first full season as a regular starter in Serie A. The youngster thanked Cagliari and coach Fabio Pisacane for helping his development before stating that he hopes to continue growing and competing for even bigger objectives next season. From Newcastle's perspective, Palestra appears to fit the profile Ross Wilson is believed to be targeting. At 21, he is young enough to develop further while already possessing top-flight experience. His athleticism, versatility, and long-term potential make him the type of signing that aligns with the club's strategy of lowering the average age of the squad. One factor that could potentially work in Newcastle's favour is the pathway to first-team football. While clubs such as Manchester City, Arsenal, and Inter Milan can offer Champions League football, breaking into those sides on a regular basis may prove more difficult. At Newcastle, Palestra could see a clearer route to meaningful minutes, particularly with Trippier and Kraft no longer at the club. Whether that is enough to persuade him remains to be seen, but Newcastle's interest certainly appears logical given their current squad needs. Palestra fits Newcastle's recruitment model almost perfectly. He is young, highly rated, already proven at Serie A level, and plays in a position the club urgently needs to strengthen. The biggest obstacle is likely to be the caliber of rival clubs also chasing his signature rather than Newcastle's interest itself. Then moving on, Newcastle United's search for a long-term goalkeeper appears to be becoming increasingly complicated, with fresh reports claiming Chelsea have entered the race for highly rated Stade de Reims prospect Yohan Yawen. The 20-year-old French goalkeeper has emerged as one of several names being linked with a move to St James's Park this summer, as Newcastle prepare for life beyond Nick Pope. While Pope remains the club's current number one, there is a growing expectation that Eddie Howe and sporting director Ross Wilson will recruit at least one goalkeeper capable of becoming a long-term solution between the posts. Yawen has been one of the more surprising names linked with Newcastle in recent weeks. Having spent his career playing in France's second tier, he lacks the top-level experience of other reported targets such as James Trafford, Bart Verbruggen, and Robin Risser. As a result, many assumed he would arrive as a developmental option rather than an immediate replacement for Pope. That assumption appeared to be reinforced when reports initially suggested Newcastle had already reached an agreement for the young goalkeeper. However, those claims were quickly dismissed, with club-connected sources reportedly denying that Yawen had visited Tyneside or agreed any deal. Now, according to Canal+, the situation has become even more competitive. The French broadcaster claims Chelsea have held talks with Yawen and that the goalkeeper has visited the London club as they assess options for the future. Even more intriguingly, the report suggests that Real Madrid have also been monitoring his progress and view him as a potential long-term successor to Thibaut Courtois. Whether Real Madrid's interest develops into anything concrete remains to be seen, but the mere fact that one of Europe's biggest clubs is being linked with Yawen speaks volumes about how highly he is regarded within scouting circles. It may also explain why Newcastle continue to be associated with the goalkeeper, despite his lack of top-flight experience. Talent evaluators across Europe clearly see something special in the young Frenchman, and his reputation appears to have been growing steadily for several years. Indeed, French publication Ouest France highlighted Yawen as a potential future goalkeeper for the French national team when he was still only 18 years old. That suggests the current interest is not based solely on one strong season, but rather on a longer-term belief in his potential. From Newcastle's perspective, the situation is becoming increasingly difficult. Competition from Chelsea is challenging enough, but if Real Madrid genuinely enter the race, convincing the player to choose Tyneside could become significantly harder. At the same time, Newcastle are unlikely to place all their focus on one target. The club continues to be linked with James Trafford, while Brighton's Bart Verbruggen and Strasbourg goalkeeper Robin Risser remain names regularly mentioned in connection with the Magpies. For now, Yawen remains an intriguing option rather than a guaranteed arrival. The recent reports suggesting a deal was close now appear premature, and Newcastle may have a serious battle on their hands if they decide to pursue the Frenchman further. Newcastle's interest appears genuine given the number of reports linking them with Yawen, but the situation is clearly far less advanced than initially suggested. Chelsea's involvement and the reported interest from Real Madrid make this a much more complicated transfer than it looked a few weeks ago. Then Newcastle United have also reportedly revived their interest in Borussia Dortmund midfielder Felix and Nmecha, as they continue to explore midfield reinforcements ahead of the summer transfer window. The German international is not a new name to Newcastle supporters. Nmecha was heavily linked with a move to St James's Park back in 2023, before eventually establishing himself as a key player at Borussia Dortmund. Since then, he has continued his development in the Bundesliga and is now regarded as one of Germany's top midfielders. Having come through the academy at Manchester City before spells with Wolfsburg and Borussia Dortmund, Nmecha has built a reputation as a powerful, technically gifted midfielder capable of contributing at both ends of the pitch. The 25-year-old is also expected to be part of Germany's World Cup squad this summer, as he looks to add to his growing international experience. According to reports from Sky Sports Germany, Newcastle are among several Premier League clubs monitoring the situation, with both Manchester City and Manchester United also credited with interest in bringing Nmecha back to England. Despite the speculation, Dortmund have made their position very clear. Sporting director Sebastian Kehl and club officials view Nmecha as a central figure in their future plans, and director Ole Buch recently stated that the midfielder remains one of the best players in his position in Germany. Dortmund's confidence is strengthened by the fact that Nmecha recently signed a new contract running until 2030. That long-term deal means the Bundesliga side are under no pressure to sell and would likely demand a substantial transfer fee before even considering negotiations. From Newcastle's perspective, that immediately makes any potential deal complicated. The Magpies are expected to prioritize a goalkeeper, defensive reinforcements, a winger and midfield additions this summer, but spending a significant portion of their budget on a player tied down until 2030 may not represent the best value available. There is also the question of profile. Ross Wilson has repeatedly spoken about lowering the average age of the squad, with Newcastle increasingly targeting players in the 20-23 age bracket who can grow with the club over the long term. At 25, Nmecha is hardly old, but he sits outside the age range Newcastle have often been linked with recently. The player undoubtedly possesses the quality to improve Newcastle's midfield options, but with Dortmund determined to keep him, competition from other elite clubs, and a likely hefty asking price, this feels like a difficult deal to complete. For now, the interest appears credible given Newcastle's previous admiration for the player, but whether it develops into something more concrete remains to be seen. There is genuine historical interest from Newcastle, and Nmecha is certainly a player the club admire. However, Dortmund's stance, his long-term contract, likely transfer fee and competition from other clubs make this one look unlikely at the present time. However, in a massive development, if you would like to know the truth behind Jonathan David's potential free transfer to Newcastle United and the huge talks between Eddie Howe and Harvey Barnes, click the video link on screen now.